Way ahead of me. Way ahead of me. Oh, my God. I had my finger on the button the whole morning.
Welcome back to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest running sales training podcast, sales coaching podcast, sales achievement podcast history. I'm Bill Caskey.
Bryan Neal here.
We are delighted you're with us. We always say that, but we get notes, cards, and letters all the time from people who listen. And we just got one from a gentleman in Canada who can't listen anymore.
No, sorry, can't hear this. No. Said something about Spotify in Canada. We gotta look that up. It just came in last night.
Well, we have a lot of Canadian listeners, I know, because when I look at the graph, where people listen from, and they can't all, it wouldn't all be on Apple. So anyway, we're looking into that for you Spotify Canadian people. We also offer something every month. It's called the ASP Insider. You can go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/insider. Check out next month's training or this month's training. It's on July. Actually, it's this Friday. We had a delay because of the 4th of July. So it's July 11th. And we'd love to have you there, and you'll see all the details about it. And it is going to be on how do you convert prospects to customers. And I don't think we talk nearly enough about that. And if you're working super hard at generating new business, which I know many of you do, and yet the closing rate's 20%, that's a loser. So we want to help you get that up.
I like that. Good timing on the in our topic today. Bill's got 4 concepts that he's not told me about yet. And I'm going to weigh in on those. You did mention Canada and the 4th of July together. I was in Canada fishing with my sons.
Oh,
tough fishing, great trip. Flying like one of those float planes, huge, ginormous lake with no one on it. Great time. My sons are all 3 in college now, and just a great father-son trip. It was fantastic. Fishing was tough, but it still was worth every bit. It was great. July 1st is their Canada Day, kind of like our July 4th Independence. I was there for that. I didn't seem to have quite the celebration maybe that we do down here. And then July 4th, of course, was here. And I hate this, but we did have a gentleman in Indiana who passed away from a fireworks accident, which is really sad, and early 20s. And I was watching the news last night, and the news person said that he said when his friends told him not to do that, he held a mortar over his head to go off, like to hold the mortar to shoot the firework. And his friends told him not to. And he said, "Don't worry, I've done this before." And he died. I just am not a fan of fireworks. I'm like, I just don't get this at all. I don't get it. And I know I'm not patriotic. I love our country so much.
That's like playing Russian roulette.
Yeah,
it's like what are we doing? Gun, and then blaming the gun for the bullet, bullet out of 6.
Literally. How many times do we have to hear the warnings or the stories of someone getting hurt with fireworks stuff? It says light fuse and get away. It's super clear. It's been there since the 70s. Light fuse, get away. It doesn't say hold over your head. And if it goes well, do it again. It doesn't say that. It says light fuse and get away. And I just don't understand.
And don't utter the words, "That's okay. I've done this before."
I'm like, and I hate it because I'm like, Anyway, so I'm just, happy 4th of July, passed, but I'm just not a fireworks guy. Not a fan. Just not a fan.
Do you like to go?
I don't. It's the 2 things. And sometimes people are surprised when they hear this just because my fun personality, I guess. But I don't like that. And I don't like Halloween. I don't like fireworks. I don't like Halloween.
That's what I'm thinking about is a dude that doesn't like Halloween.
I don't
like Halloween. I don't like fireworks when I'm looking 40 miles into the distance. That's nothing for me. But the ones we went to on a lake up in Carmel called Woodland Lake, a guy does it every year. He must spend $200,000 on it. And it's a private family. And they're cool because you're sitting on the lake and they're cut like, you would hate this.
In your face.
Coming at you. And I always say it's more exciting when you think the embers might burn your
I was going to say.
It's more exciting.
There's so many bad things. You saw there was a big fireworks explosion in California, there was. And there was a big barge like in Wichita, Kansas, or wherever it was.
So what's good at fireworks?
I know. I love drone shows, though. I don't want to get us on a tangent.
Those are cool.
Drone shows are off the hook. They're so cool.
Yeah, there's no picture. Yeah. Okay.
We digress. Go ahead.
So here's my topic. As I know you do too, listen to a lot of content, podcasts, other people's podcasts. I used to spend all my time listening to ours, but I don't do that anymore. But I listen to a lot, and I'm always fascinated with stretchy kind of concepts, things that cause me to think, oh man, I've looked at this way for 20 years and that's not the way I would choose to look at it, but the dude may have something here. So I've got a handful of quotes and concepts. So here's number one.
Good.
And I want to hear your response.
And so people know, we've not planned it. Bill did not read these. I'm hearing this for the first time as we speak on the podcast.
Yeah, and I can pull this up. Well, it doesn't matter because this is more audio. Here's the quote by Buckminster Fuller. Buckminster Fuller was a
old school
technologist, a philosopher, 40s, 50s, 60s, and he look him up. He's got great quotes, but he says, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." You never change things by fighting the reality. You change something by building a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. I don't know what he means by model. I just mean probably a new way of doing things that totally obsoletes the old way. And I thought that was kind of interesting because that's a lot of what we do here is we give you some new ways to think about old problems, which will change the model. Like the whole, I'm here to convince somebody to buy from me is the old model. I'm here to create the environment where they conclude their life would be better with me than without me is the new model. So I think there's a lot of those things that are kind of embedded, but I wanted to see what you thought about that.
The first thing that came to my mind, because this is like a first reaction Friday, but it's Monday. First reaction Monday. I read a quote similar. I just saw it yesterday, and it was so I'm not going to get it perfect. But basically, it was talking about therapy and working on your traumas is not about healing from anxiety or depression or your trauma. You already are comfortable living in those things. What therapy is really for is about learning how to live in happiness and joy, because you're not doing that yet. It's a counterintuitive. You think you're like trying to fix these things. Like, no, you're comfortable living in this anxious world, self-doubt thing, and not joyful, not peaceful. And you're going to learn how to live in joy and peace. I'm like, it's interesting, which is a different way to live.
Slightly different.
You know? Yeah. And so I'm like, wow, that's really interesting because that's the truth. I like that a lot. So I think of this now to kind of make it a little more tactical in the sales world. It's this counterintuitive. You heard this break fix model? Like one of our old clients they use a break fix model. I've heard Salesforce does this. They basically each year start from scratch and say, okay, we're going to break everything we've done. We're going to shuffle the deck. We're going to reorganize. We're going to do all this stuff new. We're going to break it every year and rebuild it so it never gets stagnant, complacent.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that's a lot of what this is, because they know intrinsically that by doing that, they're going to come up with new solutions to old problems that by not doing it, they never would have come up with.
Yes. What's the quote again?
To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete.
Yes. This is the difference in focus. So the focus is I'm focusing on the broken thing versus turning my head 90 degrees to the right and focus on building a new thing.
On the future.
Yeah, which is like, okay, I'm going to focus on my trauma and my past and my bad history and how my dad didn't pay attention to me. No. I'm going to focus on how none of that really matters now because my dad's been dead for a long time and he's not here and I can be happy. Interesting. Yeah. So it's like, I think of it like a head turn. Like I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. My next quote from Elon Musk has that same ring to it. But here's an example in the sales world is if I were starting in sales today with a company and I was a frontline seller and I had total autonomy to do what needed to be done, everybody else on the team would be making cold calls and doing networking events. I would start a TV show. I would start a YouTube channel and a podcast, and I would interview the people that I wanted to sell to, and I would develop a relationship with those people. I would spotlight their business. I would create a reciprocal kind of arrangement where they would be on my show. I'd spotlight them, and because of that, they would be more open to me. I would do that. I wouldn't make one cold call. Well, that's an example of, what model can you adopt or adapt that would make the existing model cold call model obsolete, where you just didn't have to do it anymore. And maybe it would not just be something like doing a podcast. Maybe it'd be doing a podcast and then capturing the podcast on a CD or whatever, and then sending it out to people who you wanted to hear it. So I think there's a lot of things that we look at as tactics, and really they could be game changers if we think about it from a model standpoint.
I love it. Yeah. I even like the idea of, I told you, just got off a call with a newish client and half their sales team is brand they've never sold. And they actually came from a technical background. So they've never sold ever in any way, shape, or form. And as I'm working with them, I'm trying to help them just plan their weeks and like find people to go talk to. It struck me now that we're talking about this. I didn't say this to them. I don't know if I want to go this strong with them just yet. Is do not, under any circumstance, talk to a prospective customer in your first month in the field by yourself. So we're going to take you through all your training. You're going to go into the field. The only people you're allowed to talk to are business friends, people that you know that cannot buy from you, so that you can practice in real time with live people. Versus if you go to a huge big conquest list that's real important, that's really risky, risky.
Yeah.
So and a month's not that long.
No, I like that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times when I was with an older company and I had my sales manager and we had kind of, this is a big client, go call them.
Yeah, go get them.
Go call them. Let's get on a phone call. And here's the questions to ask. And I'm like, I only started 3 months ago. I mean, I don't even know. But it was that sometimes the best thing is not to do the thing that everybody's telling you to do, and get ready so that when you do the thing, you're ready for the thing. And that's
a lot of things.
The way it's usually done.
A lot of things.
Okay. Here we go. Elon Musk.
Okay. Most
common mistake of a smart engineer is to optimize a thing which should not exist.
That is awesome.
The most common mistake of a smart engineer is to optimize a thing which should not exist. Now, I don't know why he says smart there, because that sounds like a dumb engineer, but I think the same thing applies to the most common mistake of a salesperson or a business owner or a VP of sales, is to optimize a thing which shouldn't even exist in the first place. And I think, I just think we do that all the time. So we're trying to major in the minors, trying to get this little thing up from 22% to 23%. Like, what are you doing? There's something else over here next to you that's doing closing at 50%. Why aren't you optimizing that?
Right. Can I give an example? It might be silly.
Yeah.
Everyone constantly that I observe, salespeople, works on their slide deck. You know what I mean? They work on their slide deck. Well, we want to make this. We're doing it right now. Like, I'm taking my own medicine here. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're doing this. Instead of going, do we even need a slide deck? Why do we need a slide deck? Is it for us? Is it for them? Is it for a Whoopee? Do we feel like is it so that we think it's a machine? It's mechanized, right? And literally just in this moment, because we're literally working on it as we speak. I'm like, what? No one has asked the question, do we even need a slide deck?
Yeah.
What's the point? And that's, I think, what Elon is talking about.
I totally agree.
Right? But question the thing.
And you get a lot of pushback on that. Somebody from the organization is going to say, "Oh, but Brian, what are you talking about?"
I might be married to her. I'm just saying.
We've had a slide deck for 22 years. I mean, who are you to come in here and pee on our slide deck?
You're not in the sales process enough to know. You sell differently.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
here we go.
That differently might work.
You never know. Good thing she doesn't listen.
Good. Okay, so I like that, and I think that we have heard this notion, and I talked to my clients about maximizing, optimizing, leverage, but you got to be careful there that you're not leveraging and optimizing the wrong thing. And I guess that's kind of the lesson there, is when you feel like, man, I need to get better at this thing. Is this thing that you want to get better at really a needle mover, or is it just something you'd kind of like to do because you have a hobby of getting better?
I like it. It's good.
Yeah. All right. Here's the last one.
Yeah.
When you seek to massively scale massively 10x, 4x, whatever your business, you will fail because the pathway to the present goals are too clear, and you will opt for those.
I love this.
So the idea there, and you've read, I'm sure, the 10x is easier than 2x. by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. But the idea with that book is they say if you have a 10x goal in a short period of time, take the timeline down, take the goal way up, it will necessitate you finding other pathways for it. And this quote says, as long as there's a clear pathway to your current goals, it becomes too easy to default to that.
Yes. I love this. The reason I love it, one, I'm a fan of Dan Sullivan's and a former client of his firms, not his, but his firms. I've never heard that clarity thing. And what happens then is, so you think of it like this, like foundational, like steps are built to get to a certain level of a house. And you're like, oh gosh, we want to get to that other level of a house. And so all I do is just build more of the same steps versus going, maybe we should put in an elevator, or maybe we should put in, a lever that actually hoists people up, or a movable platform. We just build more steps.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking about. And again, it's looking at the wrong problem. The other thing, I took this from one of my long-term clients who had a great success building a company, sold it to a private equity firm, ESOP. It was a great, great exit. It was so good. Did it the right way. I remember when they were going from 50 to 100 million, that was his vision. Mm-hmm. He said, called me B, this is not going to look like, and there's a second thing he talked about. This is not going to look like or feel like what it feels like at 50 when it's 100.
That's right.
And everybody needs to get okay with that. If you're not okay with that, might be time for you to tap out. He used to say that all the time. It's not going to look or feel. And that's another thing people miss.
Yeah.
Because it might be a little uncomfortable.
It will be.
To take an elevator than the stairs, because I can hold onto the handrails on the stairs, but I'm like, shoot, like those construction elevators, they don't have, they're sort of exposed. You're going up, you're like, good God, we're one lean forward and fall. So.
Yeah, I think this pathway thing is what I find interesting, is that, if you have a 5X goal or 2X goal, you want to double your business in the next year. You probably can't get there on the same lane that you're on right now, unless it's just labor, unless you're just working harder and hiring a bunch more people if you're a VP of sales. And so the question on pathway I find really fascinating. It's like, well, that's where the work is, in creating the pathway. Because if I want to get, if we want to get 1,000 people into Insider, we've got 40 to 50 right now. We'd like to get that up to 100 by the end of the year for those interested. But if I want to get us to 1,000 members, it ain't going to be the same way we're going to use to get to 60 or 80. And yet, once you develop the pathway and say, okay, we're going to test this pathway, test this, and then one of these comes back and you're like, oh, well, we can get there this way. But if you're not willing to test, you're not willing to do the hard work of sitting down with a blank piece of paper and just sketching out pathways, then you always default. I think that's so true. We default to the way of
so true. So true. It's just it's letting go of the rail just for a second, and then feeling wobbly and grabbing the rail again.
Exactly.
Like if you're like roller skating with one of those little helpers, or the side, if you're ice skating, you go out there, you're like, feeling a little wobbly, you go back to the wall. You go to the middle of the rink, you got to figure it out. You just got to figure it out. You got to get back somehow.
I was watching our 2-year-old Palmer swim in the pool yesterday, and it's funny how her mom, my daughter, Kara, when she starts to struggle in the water a little bit, she got a life vest on. She's not going to drown or anything, but sometimes it's a little scary. She's 2. She's still not familiar and comfortable. She loves the water though. When I see Kara reaches out immediately and grabs her, says, okay, I got you. Yeah. Her dad, Cody's like, no, I grab her.
Right.
You got to come to me. And she does. And then she has a big smile because she made it, her feet were moving like crazy. And sometimes it's that uncomfortable part where you want to grab onto somebody and you just can't. Okay, I told you that was the final one. Here's one. Let's do this one quickly, though.
Yeah.
This comes from a guy named Myron Golden, who's a pastor and internet sensation, YouTube guy. He says, when you set an impossible goal, it forces you to abandon the person you've been being and causes you to become the person you must become to accomplish the goal. And he calls this identity. I think that's probably the right. So a lot of times when we set goals, and we go into a company, say, okay, where do you want to go in the next year? And they say, well, I want to go here. Or an individual says, I want to grow my business. The question we should have is, who do you need to become to make that happen? Because if you're just being the person you need to be, you're not going to do the things you need to do to get to the place where you want to go.
Yes.
And this whole, how do you see yourself and who do you become? And that's a very scary thing. Yes. Even though it sounds so simple. It's like, you mean I got to become somebody different? Yeah, sometimes you do. And that doesn't mean you got to change your whole personality, but it means you got to get up a little earlier. May mean you have to write a little bit more. May mean you have to have skills that you don't have now. But I love that idea of who are you becoming, and is that going to help you get there?
Can I tell you that I went bankrupt because of this concept?
No. Yeah, you can.
Can I tell you that?
I didn't know that concept.
When I worked at Procter & Gamble, I was in a territory that was really easy to manage with a little bit of input, and it could still like win sales awards with very little effort. And I was with a small group of people who I was work friends with, and we used to go to breakfast every morning for an hour and a half, and then we go work for an hour, and then we go to lunch for an hour and a half or 2 hours and sit and just talk and hang out and that sort of thing. And then, work a couple hours and then be done. And it was so fun. I enjoyed it so much. The people were great. It was awesome. I had no idea what it was teaching me at the time. And then when I left and started my own business, I did not have the drive that I had always had in other things. And it absolutely contributed to my failure.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until that wake up call that I was, broke and couldn't pay my bills. I'm like, okay, I got to figure out something different here.
Yeah.
A different way to work and be a different type of person. Because I was acting kind of entitled back then. Example. It was great. It was exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
I was so comfortable with that group of people and just like coasting. It was so comfortable.
And when things come easy or easier, you don't build the muscle. You don't build a long range endurance and resilience and muscle. And football. I mean, you live football, and so you see it all the time. It's guys that aren't in the weight room, you're not building, and you're stagnant. Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Good one. Good episode.
That's good. Yeah. If you have any that you want to comment on, we'll put it up on LinkedIn, and we'd love to see and hear from you on this episode, because a lot of you have favorite quotes. I love quotes but I like to take a quote and dissect it a little bit, like we've done here. I really like that versus just seeing a quote. Oh, okay, that sounds good.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good job. See you next time.
See you. Bye.